Great to have you back. This is the final lesson for soft skills, for developing your soft skills. And it's so important. That is interpersonal communication skills. This particular skill is the number one skill, or the skill that can be attributed to how fast you can rise in an organization. I can show you one after the other, top CEOs, top business leaders, top politicians, top lawyers in the world. What separates the top from the average is this particular skill, communication skills. It's so relevant that the moment you're able to get this skill down to the T, your career is going to be blossoming. That skill, communication skill, can be broken down into three main segments. One is written communication. The second one is verbal communication, and the last one is your presentation skills. Okay. For this module, we are going to be spending a lot more time on verbal communication. Why? For the written communication, I wouldn't spend much time at all on it. The reason is very simple. If you've gone to school up to, say, college, university level, then in all your life, from nursery school up to the time that you finish university, you've been going through written communication all your life. Your nursery teacher taught you how to write A, B, C, D. Your kindergarten teacher taught you how to write your name and write your first letter, or not kindergarten, but let's say as you progress, your grade 1 or class 1, class 2, you were being taught English in class, and the English was purely 90% about written English, written communication. So you did written, and you wrote exam, you wrote English exam, you wrote essays, you did comprehension, all these kind of things. All through university, you've been writing. So at this point in time, if you do not know written communication, I cannot help you that much, right? You ought to have known this at this point. Frankly speaking, if your written communication was not good, then you probably would not have been allowed to pass your exam. So I am of the assumption that you have good command of the written skill set, right? Okay, so let's have that in the back. My only concern is that these days, because of social media and other forms of quick snap communication, people mistakenly or inadvertently sometimes write on official documents the language that they would use in social media. So you be very careful, about abbreviations, unnecessary social media jargons. You can't use them in business communication. You can't use them there. It's all about common sense, pure and simply. Don't use social media jargons in the workplace. It doesn't work that way, right? Write sentences that you understand, simple sentences that anybody would understand. Don't try to over-impress anybody with your English language. Most people will not even get you. Be yourself, and you will be fine. I will also jump to presentation skills. When it comes to presentation skills, I will skip it for now because we are going to treat it as part of the technical skills, the digital skills. We're going to go deep into PowerPoint presentation. That's some of the best ways to do presentation. The best way to do presentation is to keep your audience engaged and excited. You don't want to put them to sleep. Okay, and how to put it all together with either Google Slides, PowerPoint presentation, or even other tools that you can use. I'm doing presentation right now. I'm not using PowerPoint. I'm not even using Google Slides. I'm using a different tool, and I'll be talking to you about these things. So I will defer that until when we reach the digital or technical model, and we'll treat it as a full subject. Okay, so in this segment, let's focus pure and simply on verbal communication. And this is a winning ticket. Those with great verbal communication, they tend to become they tend to occupy the C-suite. C-suite is chief operating officer, chief marketing officer, chief people officer, chief HR director, chief executive officer, chief strategy, all the CCC, these people with big, big pecs in their jobs, great communicate. They have great communication, verbal communication skills. Okay. Now, these are the things that you need to know about verbal communication. Verbal communication is like an art. You get better with practice. You get better as you practice. The more you practice, the better you become. Everybody, their first foray into verbal communication on any kind of corporate setting can be a little bit nerve-wracking at first, but you get better with practice. It's like learning how to drive. You struggle a little bit with the gears, with this, with steering, with that, but with time you get better. You get better. Learning how to ride a bike, the same thing. You get better with time. Second point, very important. Never pass on an opportunity to speak in public. Public speaking, if you know it, if you've mastered it, is a gift. In as much as I'll say it's a gift, you have to practice it. Okay? Never pass on. Anytime, most people run away from public speaking. And the reason being that it's scary, it's nerve-wracking. Never pass it on. I'll share a story. A couple of years back, I was working at Med Assets at that time. And I had a couple of direct reports reporting to me. And I had just also been promoted in terms of my work responsibilities. It had increased to a point that now I was having some kind of client-facing responsibility, which was great. There was a report, a very detailed report that I needed to present. And this group that I needed to present to were high-end executives. There are about 60 of them in the room. They would travel all over from many different states across America, and they will come to our organization once every 6 weeks. And we'll go through a battery, it's like 2 days. They will stay, we'll put them in hotel, and then they will come back the next day, and then from there they can go back to their home states, right? So it's a big thing. And these are like, especially those who are coming from the East Coast, so like the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Boston areas, they were very brash when it comes to they asking you questions and that kind of thing. It's not that they were bad people. That's the life. That's the culture there. The East Coast culture is very straight in your face kind of thing, right? So I had this responsibility to go and present this detailed report to these big time healthcare executives, so CEOs, chief operating officers, and the likes. All these super cutthroat kind of guys. Then that was going to be my very first. I'd never done it before. So in our organization, we'll do what we call a dry run. So we do the dry run typically maybe about 3-4 days before the real event. So our senior executives will role play our executives who will be coming in for the actual event, and they will be asking you questions, and they will behave just like them, right? So it's a rehearsal. So you go through the entire presentation with them. So I did that with butterflies under my skin. I was scared as hell because I had never done it. And just understand the context, okay? This is Deep South Texas. I'm a Ghanaian, migrated to the United States with my Ghanaian accent, with my beautiful black face and that kind of thing. And I'm the only black person given that opportunity by my boss at that time to present. To actually, I worked on the report myself and I had to present it. Think about this. I had how many? I think about 3 or 4 people reporting to me at that time. And the morning came. I was supposed to go and present 9 o'clock. Came to work very, very early to go and do a rehearsal. I'll go and stand in the mirror at the bathroom and I'll just be speaking to myself, prepping it because I just didn't know how it was going to all go down. Then 15 minutes to me walking into the presentation room. One of my direct reports came. Isaac, have you heard? I said, what? I'm just about to go to present. So you haven't heard that, and I won't mention her name. Let me just create it. That Lucy's not coming to work today. I said, oh, why? Was she sick? He said, no. Lucy's just lost her only son. Not only that, somebody will say, oh, how does that impact you? This Lucy I was talking about, sharing the same cubicle with her. Okay. I was talking to you about expanding your world view in the previous course on likability. For her, it only takes a minute to start talking with her, and all she'll talk about is her son. She apparently had a son with somebody, and the person did not accept the responsibility of fatherhood. And this lady became a single parent. All her world, everything in her world revolves around her son. So you talk to the lady, all she talks about, the name of it, Kyle. Every conversation is Kyle. Kyle did this, he did that, he's gotten admission here, he's gotten a new job, he's gotten that, everything, your ears are going to actually get flooded with the name of that young man. You go on her computer screen at work, is the boy's photo. The picture on her cubicle is plastered with her son's photo. You've worked with this lady for 2 years, that's all you've heard. Her whole life revolves around. And 15 minutes into a presentation, they tell you that this lady that you share a cubicle with, her son died. Not only did the son die, that would have even been in as hard as it would have been an easier pill to swallow. It's the circumstances under which the boy died. He committed suicide. And I got to hear it 15 minutes before my presentation. And I was gobsmacked. All of a sudden, all my rehearsal for the presentation just flew out of my head. My human nature just took over. I was just there. I said, wow, I was looking at the clock, 7 minutes to go. 6 minutes to go. I was just contemplating, why don't I just go and talk to my boss? The boss, this thing is just too traumatic. Please go and present for me. That temptation was there. Go and present for me. Right when I was walking down the corridor to go and talk to my boss, funny enough, my boss just walked out of his office, man. Hey, Isaac, man, today's your golden ticket. You have 5 minutes to go, man. And I just said, oh my goodness. I couldn't tell him. So that 5 minutes just went by. I went to that room with all these big people's faces. I mean, super executives sitting there with some with mean faces. So I was standing there. I wasn't the first to go, but I watched how they destroyed 2 of my friends who went ahead presenting to them. I mean, they chewed into them like a lion with a piece of bone. I said, man, these guys are vicious. How am I going to survive this? So it got to my turn. Nobody knew what had happened. I took a deep pause, deep breath. The first 1 minute was the longest 1 minute of my life. And after that, I forgot about everything that was happening around, and I just got into my own natural groove and presented that thing. By the time I finished, the response was great, was positive. My boss was standing there. He gave me thumbs up and high fives, man. Guess what? That was my litmus test and my baptism in public speaking. If I hadn't taken that opportunity, forget it. Because after that, I did more than 200 presentations. Sometimes taking proposals for contracts to be awarded, contracts of $600 million, $800 million. We even did one that was $1.5 billion, me and two other guys. That opened the gate for me to present up to 200 times to that committee. From then, I decided, I told myself, there's nowhere in the world I cannot present. There's no crowd I will be intimidated by in my life as far as speaking is concerned. So that is why I say never pass on an opportunity to speak. Never pass on. It can be intimidating, can be nerve-wracking, but never pass it on. Now, the tendency for natural verbal communication, especially for people who are just about to enter into the workforce or are just starting out, is that you lack confidence. Not that you have low self-esteem. I'm not talking about that. You lack confidence in subject mastery because you don't know it a lot. As I started my career, I told you, I went to the workplace. I realized I had studied to become an accountant. I was the final year, but I knew nothing. That's what I'm talking about. You know nothing. And because of that, your confidence is lower. So what happens that for people like that, you tend to speak a little bit faster and a little bit lower than you normally would. Trust me, I have children who behave like that. When children do bad things, they tend to speak faster and lower. Okay? So that is a common thing that happens. So let's see what you need to do. These are practical steps, and I noticed that there's a spelling mistake here. It's a typo. The steps, right? Practical steps to effective communication. First thing is be yourself. Don't try to be anybody. Don't try to talk like you are what do you call it, an Australian when you're a Nigerian. don't try to fake anything. Be yourself. People want you to be yourself. There's only one you in life. Let that you show. Be yourself. Okay? If you have a little bit of, you're just starting in confidence an issue, this is the trick. Okay? Speak a little bit slower than you normally would. Like, I am speaking a little bit slower than I would normally do. Then speak a little bit louder than you usually would. Okay? This is especially true for people with accents. And you'll be surprised. If you do that, people will even love your different accent. That's if you're going to apply this knowledge outside the confines of your country, right? Speak a little bit slower, speak a little bit louder. Maintain some level of eye contact. It's very important. You can't stare people in the eyes all through your conversation, but at least a couple of seconds, I think the rule of thumb is that every 8 seconds or so, you just give a little bit eye contact and then, you can move on. Intermittent eye contact. And the trick to group speaking, if you are speaking to a group of people, you are standing on stage and you are speaking to a group of people, the best way to keep an eye contact is just sweep from left to right. Don't look into their eyes, but you can look here, right at the center of your forehead here, in between your two eyes. You target there and you begin to scan through. In their minds, they will be thinking that you are giving them eye contact, but in your mind, you are not looking through, you are not looking into their eyes, because that could be intimidating. But you are creating the impression that you are looking them in the eye, and you are sweeping from left to right to left. You do that. That is public speaking 101. You're good to go. Okay. So let's talk about this, which is very, very important. I've had some bad experiences with employees as far as communicating bad news is concerned. People don't want to communicate bad news. And I mean bad news like, oh, say, I couldn't get this thing done. Or I will not be able to come to work today because I'm sick. Or I will not be able to come to work today because of X, Y, and Z happened. Or a client canceled an account because of A, B, and C, right? Those are what I call bad news. Okay, in a work setting, the best thing to do is you communicate bad news fast. I have seen this happen. I had an employee who was going to write an exam. I'm not against you writing an exam. It's great. Go and write the exam. The exam was going to take 1 week. When he came back, he said that the college that he was taking the exam, the lecturers were on strike. I asked him, how long are they going to be on strike for? He said, oh, indefinite strike. Okay, that's fine. So, okay, when they come, the new day, when you get a new date, then you let me know. So 1 week went by. The following week, on a Monday, he didn't show up at work. And I was busy doing other things, so I didn't call him. Tuesday, he didn't show up at work. Wednesday, he didn't show up at work. Thursday, Friday, he didn't show up at work. He never called. He never called to let me know. Right? All I got to know was that, oh, the strike was cancelled by the lecturers the following week. So they gave them the green light to come and write the exam. I wouldn't have been angry. But this guy probably thought I would be mad, or he thought it was bad news because probably that week we were busy. So he just felt bad, and he felt bad and took no action. Thinking that is acceptable. That is not acceptable. The best thing to do is the moment, don't even wait, the moment you get to know that you will not be able to show up at work, immediately let your boss know. Immediately, don't wait, shouldn't delay by 1 second, 2 minutes. Immediately, boss, I was coming to work this morning, and all of a sudden, I've had a family emergency. Maybe there's a tap in our home just broke, and water is everywhere. So I will not be able to make it today because we need to get a plumber to come and sort this thing out. Simple. What does that do? It gives the boss the leg room to make contingent arrangement. So don't be afraid to share bad news early. Your boss will rather appreciate you for that. And in conclusion, I will touch on slightly about phone conversation at the workplace. Okay, everyone uses phones these days, but I'm just going to walk you through 2 scripts that are professional, that works. Because most of these days, when you start work as somebody who is new to the workforce, nobody will have the time to tell you this. But so I'm just going to take you through a sample script of receiving office phone calls, and another sample script of making office phone calls. So let's get it rolling. So this is very easy. You can adapt it the way you want, but it's professional. It's scripts precise. So you just say, hey, pick the phone, going to make the call. Hello, you have reached company name. Let's create a fake company. Let's say you've reached Eagle Company, right? And your name is Alice. Hello, you have reached Eagle Company. This is Alice. Please, how can I help? You see how professional it is, right? So you are receiving that call. Hello, you have reached Eagle Limited. This is Alice speaking. Please, how can I help? And then you take the message. Simple. Okay. Same way if you're going to be making the calls. Hello, this is Alice from Eagle Limited. I am calling to blah, 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 right? I am calling to request a reservation for my boss, so and so and so, right? I am calling to ask for a quote for this widget that you are selling, blah, 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 right? So this is best simple script for handling office telephone conversations. Awesome. We have come to the end of soft skills. The next major module that we're going to tackle is going to be the technical or digital skills. You wouldn't want to miss that for anything, because we're going to be talking about Excel, PowerPoint, digital marketing, some basic graphic design. We may even touch on some data visualization stuff. Oh my goodness. data visualization. Yes, I got it. And possibly even how to do some content marketing, content management kind of stuff. Fun stuff. So see you there.